Paul, we're back. The final countdown. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel okay. Well, I think I'm at the stage. I've been at it for a while, and what will be. I'm gap at the top's 1 point now, so we'll just see how it plays out.
Twitchy bum time. It's been. I tell you what, though, the thing I've noticed in the last few weeks, it's still amazing to see how much ground can be made up or how much ground has been made up by a lot of players in the last 2 to 3 weeks. It's been insane, haven't it? That top 10, like a fortnight ago, is more or less completely different to what it is now.
That's right.
So it just shows like saving transfers back is the way to play still, isn't it? And people are still reaping the rewards now of using those extra fixtures, the injuries, the rotations, and everything else. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
The landscape just keeps changing. Remember, we were talking about that long ago, and there's how many Man City players can get in for the 3-for-1 at the end? And the correct answer is 0.
0. Unbelievable. Maybe Alvarez was the answer after all. I took him in and took him out again. But
maybe Ortega was the answer.
Yeah. Oh God. Welcome everyone. Great to have you with us for our final preview episode of the season. Windy is in. Says one transfer left, hoping to get into the top 10. Where would you go whilst trying to avoid rotation? We will take a look at that in a bit. Kind of last gasp punts in a bit. Geo Boys is in. Jason Harry said had a bad day Sunday with Haaland captain, but on decent points from Trippier captain. He's 25th. Noticed very close at the top. Yeah, for those who haven't seen, Paul is currently 1 point clear up the top, and they are both around 20 points clear of third. It is incredibly tight. Very likely go down to the final day, won't it? And potentially a captaincy decision or something like that, or a drop player, or some. It's going to be absolutely crazy.
Well, who knows what's going to happen tonight? So
exactly. John Aconley is in. Ben McCrum, Julian Wardle, Tim Barry says good luck, Paul. Kaiser Sose is 218th and 234th, hoping to get into top 50 or 100. Glenn Murray says the final furlong indeed. Nico is in. He said all this build-up for which Newcastle striker and neither returned. I used my last transfer on Monday. Brought in Wilson. I thought it was my last Hail Mary, and it didn't work. Unbelievable. JMC, Dan Perry, FPL Sparks, Johnny White, Peter, Steve Manning, Peter Clinch, Colin Johnston, and Matthew Donald are all in as well. He asks any word on Rashford and March. I believe March might be out for the rest of the season. Rashford was back in training, and they're going to make a late call, whatever that means. But yeah, welcome all. Thank you so much all for joining us, not only for this episode, but obviously all season. It's been absolutely fantastic to have you with us. Firstly, housekeeping. Just have a look at the average transfers remaining. This was as of last Friday. It changed. The top 10 changed from 2.8 to around 1. The top 100, 2.6 to 0.9. Top 1,000, 3.2 to 1.7. Top 5,000, 3.9 to 2.2. You would guess probably since Friday, potentially more have been used over the weekend, Monday, maybe even more this evening, maybe more tomorrow. Maybe someone's holding it back if they have, incredibly well played, because you'll have probably done really well because avoiding certain teams, avoiding Man City and things like that. So any thoughts on transfers left, Paul? I think to me the one thing I'm quite surprised at is there's still a lot of chat in the Hub WhatsApp group and things around people still having transfers left. I'm very surprised, but they've managed it really well, haven't they?
Yeah, I think I played slightly more aggressive this season than I've done previous seasons. Is that because of the 50 transfers potentially? But I think I've been under no illusion that part of the reason of why I was first so early was because I played aggressively. Yeah. So I was accepting that there might come a point in time closer now where I wish I'd saved 2 or 3 moves that hadn't come off. But on the whole, I'm pretty happy with how I've played, and I think as long as you're using the transfers early and using them at the right time, then there's multiple ways to skin the cat.
Yeah, indeed. I think one thing on reflection, that I think I've been quite fortunate all season. I think I've played really well all season. I think I've used my transfers well, but I have had the luck to go with the transfers most of the time. Things like going all in on Arsenal, going in on certain players, that Maddison captaincy early on, all things like that. They've like a lot of them came off, and for me now, I don't know, if it's the same with you, but I kind of feel like my luck has run out now. I don't feel like I've had any luck in the last 2 or 3 weeks, which just goes to show how much luck is involved in this game, right? It's some and the swings are huge. Look at the swing with Wilson and Isaac, for example. There wasn't much in it a few weeks ago, was there? And Wilson has gone on absolutely smashed it, and even something like Trent changing his position from a right back to a midfielder, and popping in that free kick in the top right, and just other, Brighton winning 3-0 away at Arsenal. I mean, no one could have predicted that. I think I'm not sure this is right. I can't remember a season previously in the Premier League where even when a team has won the league, that they're resting this many players, including the goalkeeper, so early. So I think Ortega's played 2 of the last 4 or 5. He may again play this evening. He may play on the weekend as well. I've never seen that before. I've seen an odd thing, like maybe one. So I just think that I rode my luck all the way up to near the top, and now it's kind of run out. Is that kind of how you feel, or do you think there's more to it?
No, I think I've always maintained as well that you do need an element of luck, and I've also had it this season as well. I in the team that was first, I've got Wilson, and had I not been, I think it was 3rd or 4th with that team a few weeks back. So you can say that I've been top for a while, but
it's a different team.
It's not been top, and it's flip flop. Yeah. And the reason why was I was almost playing a bit punty because I didn't think I would do well in that team, and then brought Wilson in almost instantly. Like I instantly regretted doing the move as well, which is not often like it as well, because I brought him in for the Arsenal game, and it blanked straight away, and therefore it was like a chain reaction, because I would never have captained them, or brought in and captained them against Leeds, and I already had him captained them then, and then similarly would I have brought him in for the Brighton game? Possibly not as well. So there's definitely elements of that. I always like to do a retrospective of the season, and one thing, I don't think I've done it that much this season, but I have done it on occasion. One thing that I'm taking away from this season is I'm not going to rotate, even if you see chain moves with players that I know that I'm going to want back in on the long term. I'm not doing those types of moves to take that player out, bring someone else in, even if that person's got like 3 nice fixtures, then to hop on back onto the premium player that I wanted. Yeah. And I think others have attempted that, and it's burnt them quite a lot. What I've noticed I've done well in this season is getting luck with the peripheral players that I've been bringing in that's complemented those players, not even to captain them necessarily, but to complement what I've already got. And you can do that by looking at short-term fixtures, fixture volumes, and also the average points per game, because if you're picking up a Lewis Dunk, you know that he starts on 5 points every game. So even when his ownership wasn't high, if you've got those peripheral players and doing well, and you cement your captains down, I don't think I'm bad at that anyway, but I have seen people curse their luck by not doing that this season.
Let's have a look at the fixtures left. There's not many. First one, we mentioned it this evening, Brighton against Man City. Obviously, we get to the lineups, which is useful. Do you think Haaland starts? I know we're going to find out in like hour and 50 minutes, but do you think he starts?
I'm going to guess that he does. So all the rumours that I imagine working in fantasy football, you'll have seen none, as if you wouldn't have picked up through hobbies anyway. But all the players that look to have not been travelling with the squad or be rested, or like combination of the two, all seem to be names from a defensive front other than Jack Grealish. So I'm thinking, I think Haaland, just based on what records he's already broken with the goal scoring, that he might want to extend that further. So it's pretty hard to beat.
How do you think the game is going to go? And do you think that Brighton are going to rest anyone? Because they must be absolutely shattered. They've played like every 3 days for goodness knows how long, haven't they?
Yeah, I'm selfishly wanting Mitoma to get a rest. I think there's others around me that own Mitoma. So they could do, but then their squad's so small that it's really hard to predict on their front as well. Like, how many players can they actually afford to rest? Who have they got to come in? Like Estupinian, like when watched wasn't the game at the weekend, it was the Newcastle game. He looked absolutely shattered. Like, he looked like he'd been run ragged the whole game, and by Almiron. But then he started at the weekend again. So with 2 games left, I don't see any left back on the bench over the last couple of games for them that they could replace with. I'm sure they've got a youth player that could potentially come up. So I don't think Brighton will put out an understrength team. And City, well, nobody really knows, right? But I'm guessing that Haaland plays for the reasons I mentioned earlier, but I have no idea.
They're resting a lot of defenders, so that makes me think maybe John Stones gets a start potentially, because I think, is it Diaz, Ake, Akanji, and not
Stones and Rodri at centre half?
You'd guess, yeah. How do you think the game's going to go? Brighton Man City. I've no idea. I can't call it.
I think something like a 1-1 or something like that.
And best captain, obviously Haaland. If Haaland doesn't start, who's the best captain?
Well, if Haaland doesn't start, I think Alvarez is the best captain, assuming he plays the 9.
Yeah. Thursday the 25th, which is tomorrow, Man United against Chelsea. Rashford back in training. Make a late call on him. He was fit, and then he got ill on the weekend, and he's been back in training. You guess he'd play? They only need is it a point to guarantee top 4? You guess he'd play? I think.
I'd think so. And like you say, he was in training all last week, so you can't suggest it's an injury hangover
exactly.
that would keep him out. And they did look really blunt at the weekend, I think. An attack, and whilst he's only scored 5 in his last 17, watching the games, he always looks like he's getting dangerous and picked up shooting bonus on occasions as well. So I think, I don't own Bruno, but I think that he's points dodged for owners quite significantly. Yes. Even though he's picked up, I think the week before he picked up an assist and shots bonus, so he picked up 7 points that game. But if you're looking at any of the big chances created tables, it's like so far out of it.
His XG and his XA are wild.
Yeah. So I think there's a question about who I think scores the most till the end, or who I would be going with transfers left. And I think bringing in Bruno tomorrow night would be something that I would definitely consider doing.
Go on, sorry.
Just with the fact that you expect them to play both games, both are home games. Man United is much stronger at home, even like Bruno and a defender potentially, if you're wanting to optimise the fixture volumes rather than looking for the last day punt, or maybe if you've got 2 transfers, split in one, use one tomorrow, one on the last day, perhaps.
Who would be the best, the captain for Man United Chelsea?
I think if Rashford starts, I still maintain that Rashford's the best captaincy.
Yeah,
if I had De Gea or something like that, I wouldn't be too nervous about captaining one of the defensive assets either.
Let's look forward to Gameweek 43, which is Sunday 4:30. All the games all off at the same time. It's going to be wild. It's going to be absolutely wild. Southampton against Liverpool. Go on.
Well, it will be, because me and Dan's going to be in the pub by 12. So
12. Jeez.
Well, I'm meeting him at 11. Going for some food beforehand. So.
Southampton, Liverpool. Obviously, Salah, definitely a captain option there. You would say Man United and Fulham, as you've already mentioned, that could be a really probably open game. I can see goals to both sides with Mitrovic back as well. Leicester, West Ham, Leeds and Spurs. That could be crazy. Everton and Bournemouth. Everton, they only need a point, I think, so that got the potential to be a bit of a boring one actually. Palace and Forest. I think punting on a Palace mid. Those who went for Eze, if they've still got him in their team, he lived done well for them a few weeks ago. I think he could do well on the weekend. Chelsea, Newcastle. Those of us with double Newcastle attack will be hoping for Newcastle to go wild on the weekend. Brentford, Man City. Again, no clue really. I think we'll get some clues from this evening. Like for example, if John Stones plays, I can't see him playing on Sunday. If not sure on players like Haaland, but we get to the lineups anyway. So it's not the end of the world. Villa and Brighton. Definitely see goals for both teams there personally as well, and Arsenal and Wolves. You can probably see. I know Arsenal have kind of. I'm going to say licking their bruises. That's not the right phrase, is it? Well, licking their wounds. They're not licking their bruises, are they?
Or putting arnica on their bruises. Yeah.
I like that. It's a very posh reference there. Arsenal against Wolves as well. So I mean, what a manic day. And for you, Paul, I obviously really hope that you're still within range of a win. First question: if Haaland starts and you're behind, say 15 points, what are you going to do?
So I've thought about all these permutations, and I'm obviously not going to lay out exactly what I'm going to do and all these moves. However, what I will say is that I pretty much know the teams around me, like just from looking at the leaderboard intra match and understanding who's getting points at what point to work out who's got what. So I know who I've got, and I know the differences to other players. So there's various permutations based on how many of my players start on the last game day, how many of their players start on the last game day. So I will factor in all of this to then make a decision on whether I should make a strong captaincy shout, a part punt captaincy shout, or a complete left field. I'm not. I'm also not like the gap. The prize money is like 50k, 5k, 1k, 500. I could by the time the weekend comes, I could be like 6th or 7th, depending how tomorrow goes. Because I think tonight could be wild, like just with the randomness of who's playing such like. So I'm accepting all of those permutations going into the game. But yeah, I could captain like anybody from my team. I think just working out who would be the biggest gamble. If I was 15 points behind and I thought all my players were playing, would I captain Haaland? Probably not. But
who do you
other options?
Who do you think objectively is the best captain? Because I do think that City away to Brentford is not easy. But do you still think he's the best captain?
I still think Haaland's the best captain. Albeit, I went and checked the odds earlier on, and I just looked at something like +3 goals for a team, like team to score 3 goals in that fixture. And Liverpool were even money to score 3 goals away to Southampton, and Man City are 2-1 to score 3 goals away to Brentford, which is an interesting dynamic. Because I would have thought not so much the strength of the opposition, but based on Liverpool's recent away day form hasn't been great, albeit on the shorter recent term it's been a bit better. So like Salah, Kane, Haaland, I think you kind of throw a net over all 3 of them, which going in, if I was chasing at the weekend, which I could well be, almost like makes it more exciting for me rather than trying to defend something. I think that I would be much more stressed trying to defend the lead than I would be picking a differential captain, because
exactly.
I feel like I've got less to lose in that sense. So
a £50,000 player pick. Not many people have that in their lifetime, do they?
It's interesting as well, because I could say anything here knowing that it gets aired and I could be doing a double bluff or something like that, right? But I still don't know that if somebody was doing that to me, that I couldn't, and if I wasn't in first and clearing first, I would be picking Haaland. Like, so
I know.
Yeah, pressure's off. I'm very, very comfortable with the permutations in my head. I'm very comfortable with who I'm going to pick. Who do I think on paper is the best captain? Haaland, I think, is the best captain.
I've just picked out a few players, a few complete punts, for those who have got a transfer or something left and they want a couple of Hail Marys, low ownership picks. Picked out. I took these off the FPL Fantasy Football Hub predicted points for the game week. It always gives some kind of some interesting sort of pick. So Eze first, home to Forest, I think is a really good punt. if you've got the price bracket as well. Solanke away to Everton. I'm not overly keen on that one, but the stats do kind of err towards he could have a good day. Heung-min Son for me is a really interesting one against Leeds. It seems to be his kind of fixture where he's, I don't know, he just seems to be sort of the sort of player this season who's gone blank, 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 hat-trick, blank. Yeah. And Leeds seems to be the kind of fixture which he can go mad on. I
appreciate this. Obviously, a Sky podcast, but Son is in the top 25 players in FPL for points this season.
Is he really?
He's like 24th or something like that, based on that hat trick. So yeah, he's had a terrible season, but yeah, he's still like randomly in 24th overall for point score. I'm sure it is.
That's crazy.
I'm sure I read that earlier on. But I like looking at those zonal defensive maps as well, and Leeds concede most of their chances down Son's side as well.
Nice. Gakpo has looked really good for Liverpool. They obviously play Southampton. Be a really good option this weekend, and Odegaard for Arsenal and all Arsenal assets really. It does look like we've got a bit of an issue on YouTube. Could people just confirm, please, in the chat that we are still live? I'm getting a message off YouTube saying that YouTube has got a problem. Just want to make sure that we're still live and that we're still everyone can still hear and see us. It would be good. But Odegaard I like as well. Any other punts there, Paul?
I like Jesus. Like, he's been pretty poor recently, but Jesus on that similar Arsenal shout. And Odsonne Edouard, I mean, you're going to see the starting lineup play up front for Palace at home to Forest. I think he's a good shout as well.
I'm not sure if my laptop's overheating. It's absolutely boiling here in South Wales. But yeah, if someone in the chat could just let us know if we're still live, it would be really useful. Thank you. I'm just gonna. My laptop's overheating. Oh, Gary said all good. Okay, we'll carry on then. Okay, we've had loads and loads of questions and comments, mainly comments. In all fairness, but I'm going to read them all out. A lot of them, Paul, are wishing you good luck, but everyone has followed us all season, so I'm going to read them all out this week. Questions, comments, and all, and see where we go. Darren Slater says, "Good luck, Paul, and thanks, guys, for the great pods this year. With most teams having nothing to play for, what will we look for in a captain this week's home game? Passing points or just Haaland if he plays?" Sorry, I think he's talking in local lingo there. We'll use is that a Scottish thing? We'll look for. I think it is, isn't it? I think he's Scottish.
Yeah, use.
Yeah.
Like the plural of you.
I think so.
Rather than it being you itself. Yeah.
Something like that.
I would use. Yeah.
What will you look for in a captain this week? Home game passing points or just Haaland if he plays? We're saying what's the factor? I think for me, it's just like where I am in mini leagues and kind of overall rank. I think for me that will determine for me who I got. I do think there's nothing to choose between Haaland, Kane, Salah, or just going for a complete left field sort of pick. So yeah, I just look at mini leagues personally. Anything for you, Paul? There?
Yeah, not explosiveness on the last day. I think is what I'd be keen to look for.
Mark W says the pod has been absolutely superb this season. Many thanks. In the final week, which player and/or match likely to be the most influential in determining the Sky FF winner? Good luck, Paul. Interesting one there. Which
it's probably Haaland, because I don't know that it comes to a point where the top 3 or the top 5 all captain him, even though I'm suggesting he's the best player, and I'm also put myself into that boat of I might captain him, I might not captain him.
Yeah, I think for me, Man City is the team, depending. But I'm not confident as a multiple Man City asset owner that will get our just rewards there. Dave Simple Goal finished second last year. Says wishing Paul the very, very best of luck. It'd be interesting to hear how you both reflect on the season. Might be one for next week if podding, and how Paul is managing his final decisions. Is he really as cool as he seems on the surface? He says great season and great pod both. I think firstly it's worth saying that breaking news, Paul and I will be podding with James and Sudge from Planet FPL on Monday morning. Probably very hungover. Whether Paul has won or not, we'll be hungover regardless, I think. So we'll, no doubt we'll be doing some kind of, debrief or something, along the lines there. But we will be back in a few weeks, probably in 2 to 3 weeks, and have a bit of a bit more of a debrief there as well. Just have a bit of time to kind of reflect on the seasons, reflect on our transfers, reflect on our player picks, and come back hopefully with some kind of nuggets ahead of next year. In terms of how you're managing your final decisions, Paul, he says, is he really as cool as he seems on the surface?
Well, you could maybe answer on that front, Fergie, because I've phoned you and spoke to you a couple of times. I don't think I've done it. I don't think I've done it in mass panic, though. No. Like I said, I did the Wilson move thinking that this team was going to run out of steam, and I was like, I'm going to do something completely radical and protect the other team, and it just so happens that they flip-flopped. So you could I guess you could put that in a rash and an un-Paul McAnulty move. That's more an Andrew Ferguson move right there.
I think the key thing for me last week was when you messaged me and said, I'm going for a player, and you'll never guess who it is, and I'm not going to tell you in case you talk me out of it. And then you rang Friday lunchtime, I think, and said, "What do you think of Joe Linton?" And I was like, "Mate, that's a proper Hail Mary, that is."
I remember by that point I had massively talked myself. I was like, I'm now looking at stats too much, and I know that I'd talked myself out of that at that point in time.
No, you were. I think you have been reasonably calm throughout. You're very methodical in your approach to things, which I think helps. You don't take many gut calls, and also I think we're very, very similar in the way we manage our emotions. In terms of we both make the decision of least pain if something goes wrong, and that's something which served me well in Dream Team a couple of years ago. I think it's probably served you well this time as well, because if something goes wrong, if it doesn't go, there's nothing worse than make the decision that you didn't really want to do and it going wrong. That hurts. Yeah. So I think that you've been good at doing that as well. In all fairness, Dan Cox says, "Good luck for the run-in, Paul. We'll be meeting Dan for the first time. Would you believe we've been podding for years, podded with Dan for a good while as well, and we'll be meeting Dan on Sunday, which would be great." Planet FPL, James, thanks for the content this season, guys, and good luck for what remains. Got any plans Monday after the final leaderboard is confirmed? Yes, we certainly have. We're going to meet a pair of absolute scallywags on Monday morning, and listen to their pod earlier. I think if you win, Paul, they're expecting lunch, so just so you know, and he doesn't mean a ham sandwich from Tesco's either. So let's hope you win and we can all have a nice lunch there. Also very close says, best of luck, Paul, drive it home. Colin Johnston, feel like not got the best out of the last 4 weeks. Arsenal downside, Pep Roulette, not picking Wilson or Trent. Luckily won my mini league, may go for punts now. Good luck, Paul. Julian Wardle says, no questions this week. I'm all out, but just to say thanks to both being a huge part of the enjoyment this season of the best fantasy football game. Good luck everyone for the last 3 match days. Thank you so much, Julian. Glenroy says, good luck, Paul. I'm coming for you, Fergie. Yeah, I noticed Glenroy's right at my backside. David Baxter, who I believe is he third or fourth? He's right. He's flown up.
Definitely in the top 10.
Oh, he's higher. Well, he can't be higher than top 10, but I'm sure he's like third or fourth or fifth.
He's fifth.
Thank you both for the excellent content and good luck for the final few weeks. Keep my fingers crossed that Paul can win it. Thank you, David, and congratulations on an amazing season. Dan Cox says, we get time for our meetup Sunday. Do I need to bring my wallet, or has Fergie still got some of the Sun Dream Team winnings left? Avail, mate. It's all gone, but I'll still buy you a pint. I'll still buy you one anyway. Man says, good luck, Paul, and thanks both for all the content this season. FPL Sparta, I've enjoyed the shows this year. Cheers all. AD Tor says, with Pope ruled out for Chelsea, is it worth bringing in Steele or De Gea? An actual Sky question. Yeah, Pope has been ruled out. He's had an operation on his hand. Is it worth bringing in Steele or De Gea? I would definitely bring in De Gea tomorrow night. Same, Paul?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. FPL Spartans, will there be a post Gameweek 43 roundup? Also a concluding nip and a half to finalise scores. Yes to both. I say it'll probably be in a couple of weeks. I'll be going on holiday next week. Paul will want a break as well. A bit of downtime, bit of reflection time, and then we'll be back for both. I think Paul is very very likely 1.5.
Well, and it's the Wilson team, and it's the team
Unbelievable.
that's first overall in the game, the one that you're competing against.
How poetic is it that Callum Wilson is going to cost me again, because he's the difference maker, isn't he? Mark Williams says, fingers crossed, Paul. He puts and Fergi in brackets. Just always the bridesmaid, didn't I, Paul?
You won Dream Team.
Well, apart from that, Dave Hannigan says, thanks for all the help and laughs. Really enjoyed the streams, all the time and effort you put into it. Fingers crossed for you, Paul. What will be, I guess. Hopefully you'll be doing again next season. We absolutely will be doing this again next season. Chris Hermitage says, best moves, 2 transfers left. Is it to go to a United player given 2 fixtures? I think United, I'd go all in on both tomorrow night. 2 Plum home fixtures. Any different there, Paul? No?
I probably would do the 2, but if there was somebody that you didn't want to take out now because you wanted that player for the last game of the season, then do 1 tomorrow, and then 1 you can use to replace somebody that perhaps doesn't show up on Sunday. Owen
Jones says, good luck, Paul. Gaz, with 2 transfers left, which 2 players will score the highest over the remaining fixtures? That's an interesting one. Obviously, we don't get to see the lineups, right, which is a real pain, but which 2 players do you think score the most points between now and close the play on Sunday?
Bruno and Rashford, assuming they both start.
FPL Hank says, no questions, just good luck. 3 days to go. Eric Ten Hag, great show, great lads. Hope you win it, Paul. Best lowly owned differential captain on the final day. Something equivalent to Fergie as a punt feature. Thanks for a great season. I'll go for Heung-min Son. I just think he's just one of those massive upside players. When he's on it, there's no one or very few players as explosive as him. So absolute one-off punt, but I would go for him. Paul, anything else on the punts?
I'll go with Edson Odward.
Yes, nice shout.
Odson Edward.
Edward Odsad.
Edward Odsad.
Ben Sky FF. Assuming Rashford plays tomorrow and I don't need to use my final transfer to bring a captain, would you guys still use it for that game and get 2 fixtures? They'll save it for potential rotation on Sunday. Good luck for the final games. I think you have to do it. I just think, you're guaranteed 1 start at home to a poor Chelsea team. You'll probably get the 2 starts off certain players. I think I would. FPL Amateur struggled in Sky this year, but really enjoyed the podcast. Thank you, Paul. And well done, Fergie, a great season as well. And Scooby-Doo, brilliant content this season. Best of luck for the final fixtures. Do you think Sky FF will be back next season? Because there was talk last year that it wasn't going to be back.
I feel that there's a lot of positive. I don't think it's up in the air as much as it was last season. I think there was, as far as I know, I'm not in the know, but I felt that there was going to be a decision last year, and now that there's a lot more positivity, the fact that they did the World Cup game and such like. So I've not heard any rumblings from anyone. As I say, I'm not in the know, but I've not heard anything to suggest that it wouldn't be running next year.
Yeah, I feel the same, and I think that let's keep our fingers crossed. And if anyone's watching or listening who has any influence, please keep this game going, because I say this. I wrote it in my article earlier for Fantasy Football Hub. I've enjoyed this Sky season more than I've ever enjoyed any fantasy game in any season ever, just because of the way this, the game is played. Obviously, it's nice to have a good season, right? Obviously that kind of goes without saying. But in terms of being in control of your team and being in control of your destiny, I think this season, above all else, has been absolutely superb. So let's just hope they keep the game running. It would be brilliant. From the chats, Kieran Sutton says, Fergie, will you take a leaf out of Paul's book next season and go for 2 carbon copy teams? I don't think I will, Kieran. I went for a big at the back team, which was mainly Man City, which, in hindsight was obviously, it didn't work out, but it easily could have, and if you kind of do that and it kicks on, you're in an amazing position.
So genuinely something to consider, right, for you, and if you for a reason for doing it, is that you like me, and obviously we do nip and a half, so we play multi-format, right? And there's a lot of permutations and a lot of thinking goes on involved, which can be quite stressful. The beauty of doing it is that you don't need to think of 2 sets of things and moves to do and different combinations, and that if you see the move, then you just make the move twice. And I haven't like, I know that the two teams have done well for me this season, but I've enjoyed it from that sense, and would be part of the reason why I would do it again. I know that you can get off to a flyer if you separate it, perhaps do a block of a certain team or such like. But I'm definitely going to do it again next season, and not only because I've had the success, but it's taken away a lot of the stress element of thinking about two sets of moves.
No, I totally get it. I'm just kind of the mindset of I always do best when I manage one team, and in all formats, and Telegraph, in Dream Team, in Sky. And I get what you mean. I'll be only managing one team, but doing it twice. But I'm firmly of the thing, like, if you think big at the back, practically every other season, kicking the season off has gone off to a flyer, right? It didn't this year. There wasn't any clean sheets, was there? And I just think I would rather have a gamble on getting off to an absolute flyer, and then as I did, I quickly realised after 5 or 6 weeks that team was going nowhere, so I just dumped it, and I'm good at that. But if it had got off to a flyer, I'm in an incredible position because most other teams are pretty template, right? So I can get off to can already have, say it was a Man City block defence, or Liverpool block defence, or kind of whatever it is, and still have those transfers in hand while other people are then starting to bring in those players. So I prefer to play that way, but I totally get it, and it's horses for courses, definitely. Manchester says, I emailed Sky 6 weeks back asking them the same thing, and they replied it would be back. So let's hope that's right, because if it is back, that would be absolutely superb. Cannot wait to start picking my Gameweek 1 team after a frustrating no-luck season, says Johnny Belfast. Manchester says, brilliant show all season. Thanks to you both. Tim Barry, do you think Dunk gets passes bonus tonight? Got tier 1 when they... I'm finding just this evening just really hard to call from every perspective in terms of I don't know how the match is going to play out. Wouldn't be surprised if it was 0-0. Wouldn't be surprised if it was like 3-3. I just have no idea. Yeah. Because we don't know how Man City are going to set up a lineup and kind of what their mentality is going to be. I can't see them sitting tight, but then they're obviously not going to want to get beat because of momentum and all this stuff. I think it's really tough. And Jason Harry says, I think Casado is going to be a points machine at Arsenal next season. It definitely will be if he goes there. Thank you so much, everyone, for your questions and comments. A quick look at the leaderboards. Firstly, the overall leaderboard, as we mentioned earlier. Paul, 1 point up, 3-4-7-4. John Donnelly was at an absolute stormer, 3-4-7-3. Very, very well played, John. Brian Macaulay, who has shot right up from nowhere, is up to third, just 20 points behind you as well, Paul. So depending on who he's got and depending on how the results go, he could be well in the mix come the final day. John Ashworth, who's also done superb, 3-4-4-9. David Baxter in the chat, 3-4-4-6. Paul, your second team, which was your first team, 3-4-4-5. Dale Pointer hanging in there, 3-4-4-3. Very, very well played, Dale. Thomas Lovell, who I think won it 2 seasons ago, 3-4-3-5. Steve Manning, 3-4-3-3. And Thomas Lovell's second team, 3-4-3-2. Absolutely fantastic. Well played, everyone. Obviously I'm rooting for Paul. Hopefully, we're all rooting for Paul, right? But you can't take anything away from all these players because a lot of their run to absolute perfection to give them a chance of winning. So incredibly well played to everyone on the leaderboard. Absolutely fantastic stuff. The Four Nations League, unsurprisingly, Paul is top. The trophy will be going to Scotland. Who's got it at the moment? Is it Dan?
No, I don't think so.
I can't think who's got the trophy. Oh no, it's Ian. Is it Ian?
Yeah.
Ian.
Yeah, it must have been. I think it went.
Yeah, it went Liam to Ian.
Dan to Liam. Yeah, Dan to Liam to Ian.
To you. So it's my turn next year then, right?
Well.
All the way. What do you mean? I'm in third. Ian 4, 3-3-3. 3-3-2-2. Liam in fifth. Sure, Dan and Liam in particular want to pick themselves up and start again fresh next year because I don't think they had the best of starts today. It's always incredibly hard then to keep touch when you don't have a good start. And the FFH Members League, Brian McCauley for the Pops, 3-4-5-4, third overall. Well done, Brian. David Baxter, fifth overall, 3-4-4-6. Dale Pointer, 3-4-4-3. Looks like those three are going to be safe there. Dean Hicks, 4th, well played. I'm 5th. Paul Jones only 8 points behind me now. I've been having a bit of a ding-dong with Paul all season, so he's in 6th. Cian McKenna is right up as well, 3395, as well as Niall Murphy. Was he 12 points? He's been at my backside all season as well. Just 12 points behind me. Glenn Murray is there as well, 12 behind me as well. Glenn, he was in the chat, and Daniel Stewart is 10th. Very, very well played there, everyone. Just a reminder, make sure you listen to Planet FPL Sky FF Pod next week. Paul and I are going into James and Sudge's studio to have a chat with the guys there. So that's going to be extraordinarily good fun. And before we go, we would just like to say thank you to everyone for tuning in every week, whether it's live, watching, or listening back. We appreciate every single one of you, all the interaction, all the fun, and all the support you give us. We simply wouldn't do the pod if it wasn't for our fantastic community. So thanks to you all too for everything that you do. And thank you. What a season, what a journey, mate. I'm mentally exhausted from this season across all fantasy formats. I don't know, you must be absolutely shattered, and yeah, I'm sure from everyone listening in, the very, very best of luck for the weekend. I'll be with you, either wiping away your tears or sticking it up my shoulders, one or the other.
Yeah, people find me on Twitter at Paul McAnulty 1, MCANULTY.
Superb. And my handle on Twitter is at FFA. Please press the like button. Remember to subscribe in the bottom right hand. And please rate the podcast. Leave some comments. We will be back in a few weeks for a retrospective look back at the season before being back in pre-season ahead of the big kickoff. We hope you all have a great Game Week 43. Have a great summer, and goodbye for now.